What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. I hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you have had a second to catch your breath. The Dallas Cowboys won on Sunday night, Monday morning, whatever you want to call it, 20-17, the final score against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We were told a million times about how this was the renewing of the rivalry and all that stuff. This game ended about 5 minutes ago for me in real time. It is midnight, past midnight Central Standard Time. I live in the Central Time Zone, the best time zone wherever you live. I don't know what time it is, but I trust that it is very late. We are live here in the BR app, the very best app in the world of sports. I use this app all day, every day, especially on days like today, Sunday, and Monday, where there's a lot happening, a lot I need to catch up on. You can follow me here in the BR app right down below. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Threads at RJ Ochoa, TikTok, rj.ochoa. I do a lot of video work on the Blog and the Boys YouTube channel where you can actually rewatch this later after the fact, in addition to watching it under my profile in the BR app. But enough with all that stuff, enough with the pleasantries. Let's get right to it, the meat and potatoes of what just happened. The Dallas Cowboys, like I said, won. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I see you, B Massey 4 in the chat. Says, great to see you live, RJ. Great to be with you, B Massey 4. I'll be here live for the next couple of games in post-game action in the BR app. So make sure you download the BR app. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you set your team alerts, your team preferences. Obviously, it's a good time to be me as an Arizona State Sun Devil. Not a good time to be me as far as a Manchester United supporter. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's take a look at what we just saw. 20-17, the final score. Shout out to my friends at NFL Pro. If this is your first time watching me in a post-game capacity, I know that I speak very fast, but we have a lot to get to. So buckle up. Look at this win probability grow. All right, this was chaotic at the very end. We obviously had the Justin Fields to Pat Fryer, Muth, whatever Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth want to talk about. That was a weird tangent to go off of in the middle of the game. That gave the Steelers the lead 17-13 in the very end, and we kind of thought, hey, this has been really bad for the Cowboys for most of this game. Can they do it? The end was chaotic, to say the least, going down all the way, getting to the drama, the Rico Dowdle somewhat hurdle jump over the line of scrimmage and all the traffic up front, only to have the ball popped out. I don't know how many times that's ever happened. I don't know how many times you, whoever you are, have seen that happen in your life. I have not seen that happen maybe ever, right? We think of great moments and great plays that have happened at the goal line and people and players and athletes and heroes jumping over the line of scrimmage like that. We generally think of people jumping over and scoring touchdowns. I cannot recall off the top of my mind a player jumping over and having the ball punched out like that. The awareness of Dak Prescott to recover that fumble was insane. The awareness, the poise, the composure of Dak Prescott to hit Jaylen Tolbert, obviously for the game-winning touchdown. The composure, poise, trust, whatever you want to call it, from within. We are good. I hope y'all are still here. Let's see here. Let me fix this, and we are good to go. Let me unmirror my camera. Let me know if y'all are still with me. I believe that you are. I fought through the internet gremlins, whatever you want to call them, but we're back. So I see you, B Massey. I see you, BMITM76. I see you, Red Dart. I think that we're still good. I think that we're up. I think that we're fine. I don't know what happened. My Wi-Fi was good. My connection was great. My browser was solid. So I have no earthly idea what happened, but I believe that we are still good. Thank you, Proc_Birdie, saying we are back. Anyway, sorry about that. Apologies. I owe you all a Whataburger next time I see each of you in person, which I hope is sometime soon. But the Dallas Cowboys just won the weirdest game of all time. 20-17, the final score. We were looking, Red Dart 1 says $89 million cap hit for Dak next year. If you are the type of person who is complaining about Dak Prescott in the aftermath of what we just saw, then you need a Whataburger, Red Dart 1, because what this is what you pay for. You pay him for this moment, for the moment that we just saw at the very end of this game. You pay Dak Prescott to be the guy, to be the dude who can go down the field and who can get you that touchdown at the very end. It is stupid, to be very clear here, as we take a look at what is happening once again. And we're going to get to the turnovers, Chandler, I promise you. It is stupid that the team was built in a manner in which they are so thin and they are so predicated on Dak playing hero ball. But the facts of the matter are that he did it. Dak Prescott absolutely 100% unequivocally was the hero that the Dallas Cowboys needed at the very end. And we were giving a shout out to Jaylen Tolbert. I write a stock report every week following every single game at DallasCowboys.com. He's going to be a stock up for me. Rico Dowdle is going to be a stock up for me. I'm not going to have Dak Prescott as a stock up, but the idea that Dak Prescott was not exactly who you paid him to be at the very end of this game is complete and total rubbish. K Trump, I don't know if it's KT Rump or whatever, says He finally showed up when we needed him, saved the fumble, and then threw the winning touchdown. I agree with that. Now, here's the thing. The 2 interceptions for Dak Prescott. The fumble, I'm not going to put on Dak Prescott entirely. I'm definitely not going to put nothing on him from it, but it's TJ Watt. Sometimes TJ Watt wins. Like that happens. I think we can all kind of square that in our minds. But the 2 interceptions, the first one, I know that everyone had this fascination with what CeeDee Lamb was saying. I have no idea exactly what that was, but my point with that is it's on Dak Prescott. That was one of the worst throws I've ever seen Dak Prescott make. The second one, it felt like the Cowboys and Dak Prescott got way too greedy. Like they were trying to win the game right there. And dude, there were 10 minutes left. You didn't have to press that hard. And I will say, stock down for me is Mike McCarthy. I mean, look, I have defended Mike McCarthy. If you follow my work, if you read what I write, if you have listened to my shows in the past, which, by the way, again, for those of you who missed it when we were interrupted by the technical difficulties, I'll be doing post-game shows here in the BR app for the next few weeks. Looking forward to hanging out with you after what is hopefully a bunch of Dallas Cowboys wins. But that being said, I have carried a lot of water for Mike McCarthy in the past. I can't do it anymore, man. I simply can't. Now, I will say and I will offer that Mike McCarthy has been put in a bit of a tough situation because, to be fair, Mike McCarthy, to some very small degree, and Dak Prescott, to a very large degree, made lemonade tonight on Sunday night in the Berg with Cavante Turpin and Jaylen Tolbert. No disrespect intended to them. Rico Dowdle was the leading rusher on this team and finally showed up. So my point, though, is Mike McCarthy has to do more to make life easier on his quarterback, and he did not do that in this game. In fact, I thought he inhibited Dak Prescott for a lot of this game. Chandler_DC says, why weren't they chipping Watt, especially in the red zone? Dak can't fumble, but leaving still. One-on-one was head-scratching at times because Chandler_DC, they're up against him, man. Like, look, this win was valuable. And I don't think that any of us here, right? Look, let's be clear. The reason you're here in the BR app, the very best app in the world of sports, once again, at midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever time it is for you, the reason you're here is because on some level, you're taking the copium, right? On some level, you're taking the hopium. You actually believe on some level, like I do, because we are damaged, that the Cowboys can do something special and significant, right? But I think we all know, even underneath all of that, that in all reality, they probably can't. They probably won't, right? And so that being said, I mean, this win is massive, right? If you want to believe, if you're willing to let yourself be foolish for a moment, if you're willing to believe that they can, maybe, might, potentially, oh, you never know, could do something special. The difference between 3-2 and 2-3 obviously inherently is massive. But to be able to get these wins when there's no, obviously, Micah Parsons, no DeMarcus Lawrence, no Deron Bland, when Marshawn Nealon gets hurt 5 minutes into the game, to be able to survive and weather the storm. I mean, and I see you be Massey for saying stock down Tyler Guyton, hard to run and throw when he's getting beat every play. We hope he's all right. And I haven't seen any updates on it, by the way, over on Twitter yet. But that being said, they are trying to make this lemonade, right? They're saying, go at this with Tyler Guyton, go at this with Cooper Beebe, go at this with Jaylen Tolbert and Cavante Turpin, logging serious snaps for you at skill position spots. Go at this with Hunter Lipke being a viable part of your run game. Go at this with Zeke Elliott still taking touches, right? This is a very, 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 very difficult thing to accomplish. And maybe the Cowboys do get healthy down the stretch. Maybe DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons and Deron Bland and Brandon Cooks and everybody comes back and they're a lot better. But to be able to take this game, to be able to steal this game is massive because it is the difference, because we know the Cowboys are going to lose some of these games, right? Maybe they lose on Sunday to Detroit. And again, I'll be here in the postgame after. We know that these are the differences between being 12-5 or 13-4 or 11-6. These are the small things. These are the ones you have to steal. And that's why you pay the franchise quarterback all that money, so that he can get you exactly what you need at the very end when it's, you know what time. Dak Prescott was marvelous. I mean, to use the word marvelous, I think is generally kind of an overreaction sometimes, but he was absolutely and completely marvelous down the stretch. Let's take a look at the plays. Well, let's catch up on comments for a second. K Trump 7 against the Steelers is bad. He got smoked this game. He is bad. He was very bad in this game. I mean, Terrence Steele might be the worst offensive lineman on the Cowboys roster, and that's because they're starting 2 rookies, one of whom was taken in the 3rd round. Tony Marone says, clutch win. That's my quarterback. Here we go. I mean, look, it was not pretty. And I recognize that what I'm about to say is going to be impossible for some of you to grasp. All right. I'm going to say that what I'm about to say is going to be impossible for some of you to grasp. And I'm going to do my very best to say it slowly and to explain it so that you can hopefully catch a little bit of what the point is. The great Bob Sturm from The Ticket in Dallas, whose Substack is amazing. Sturm has said over the last 2 weeks in his wonderful writing that you should absolutely subscribe to, that Dak Prescott needed to play some Tom Brady games. And when we say things like that, people think you got to go throw 5 touchdowns and 400 yards and things like that. And obviously Tom Brady did that more than, his fair share of times, right? But that's not what the Cowboys are asking. That's not what we're qualifying as Tom Brady games in this moment. Dak Prescott last week against the New York Giants was incredible. He was decisive. He was quick like a surgeon. He was amazing. He was exactly the straw that the Cowboys needed to stir that proverbial drink. And in this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, while I will certainly admit to you, in fact, I will tell you, I won't even admit to you, I will tell you before you tell me that Dak Prescott was very flawed in some very, very bad moments, that when it came down to it, and there was a lot of help involved, like there always is, it's a team game here. When it came down to it, Dak Prescott put the Cowboys on his back and did what Tom Brady did more often than anybody else in the history of this game. I'm not saying that Dak Prescott is Tom Brady. I told you some of you were not going to be able to handle this point, but he did what he needed to do, and that he put this team on his shoulders. He went down and he turned a loss into a win. That is why you pay the franchise quarterback money. John Hamm said in Mad Men, that's what the money is for. Granted, different circumstances to a very significant degree, but that's what the money is for in this game. And Dak Prescott delivered substantially over and over and over again down the stretch, obviously, in this particular game. Let's take a look at this game and what Dak Prescott did down the stretch. So this is the final drive. This is after the touchdown here when Justin Fields finds Pat Freiermuth. I know that the font is kind of small for you, but that's what I'm here to read for you. This is the final drive. Rico Dowdle for 5 yards. Rico Dowdle for 8 yards. Then we get the Pittsburgh Steelers timeout. I thought Mike Tomlin played this thing kind of questionable. I get what you're doing, Mike Tomlin, but you had to save something for your offense if you were going to get the ball back. But Rico Dowdle for no gain. All of a sudden now it's 2nd and 10. Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb for 9 yards. By the way, on the subject of coming after Mike McCarthy, if CeeDee Lamb's first catch in the second half is coming when there are fewer than 4 minutes left in the game, look, I'm not an NFL coach, right? I'm not going to pretend to be somebody I'm not, but maybe the game plan sucks. What were your halftime adjustments? What did you go into the locker room? And I know it's not called Heinz Field anymore, but let's be real, it's Heinz Field. What did you go into the locker room at Heinz Field at halftime and discuss to where you came out and said, all right, you know what, CeeDee, he doesn't need to touch the ball until there's 4 minutes left in this game. All right, that doesn't need to happen. All right, we're good on CeeDee Lamb touching the football. Whatever. Anyway, I move on. The Van Manser says we are 3, and that's all that matters. I think you mean 3 and 2. But anyway, so CeeDee Lamb gets this touch, which is awesome to see, for 9 yards. Now it's 3rd and 1. Zeke Elliott gets the dirty yard. That's awesome. 1st and 10. Dak to Jaylen Tolbert for 7 yards. 2nd and 3. Rico Dowdle moves the chains. We've reached the 2-minute warning. Rico Dowdle picks up another yard. It's 2nd and 9. Dak incomplete. Now it's 3rd and 9. It's 3rd and 9 at the Pittsburgh 32. You need a touchdown. This is when it's starting to get real. All right, Dak Prescott hits Jake Ferguson for 10 yards. Boom. New set of downs. Dak Prescott to Hunter Lipke for 18 yards. Now we are really moving. The Cowboys take a timeout. This was that fun little moment where Dak was kind of joking with TJ Watt. I don't know exactly what was happening there. I'm making sure I don't miss anything, by the way. We're good. Anyway, okay, so we're good. No updates yet. So it's 1st and goal, right, at this point in time from the Pittsburgh 4. And Dak, I think we all thought was going to maybe score on this touchdown. Doesn't. It's 2nd and 1. We're thinking this is papitas, baby. We don't have to worry about this. Dak is totally going to get this touchdown. And that's when all hell breaks loose. This was wild. Again, this whole situation with the fumble, whatever, but Dak Prescott can't get it done on 3rd down. And now it is 4th down. It is 4th and goal from the 3-yard line or whatever it is, 4-yard line, excuse me. And Dak finds Jaylen Tolbert for the touchdown. It does not get any better than that. It does not get any more clinical than that. Dak Prescott was amazing when the Cowboys needed him most. K-Trump7 says, Ocho talked about how coaches make wide receivers fade when they get too hot. Could it be the same thing here? He's already getting paid. I think, are you talking about Ocho, Chad Ochocinco? Because some people call me Ocho. He's the much cooler Ocho, don't get me wrong, but just making sure. I'm not concerned about CeeDee. I haven't decided yet, because I mentioned a little while ago I do a stock report at Blogging the Boys, and I haven't decided if I'm going to make CeeDee Lamb a stock down, but I'm inclined to. I feel like I would be a bit of a fraud as far as an analyst if I didn't. CeeDee Lamb did fade in this game, and the offense really needed him. Look, I would say if I power ranked, this is a dumb way to do this, but it's 12:30 in the morning. So if I power ranked the pass catchers in this game for the Cowboys, I would go Jaylen Tolbert, number 1. I would go Jake Ferguson, number 2. And I would go Kevontae Turpin, number 3. I mean, I think CeeDee Lamb had a great game to start for the Cowboys, but he did fade. And if we're being honest here, did Jaylen Tolbert fade? No. In fact, Jaylen Tolbert got hurt on that third down, and it looked like he was not going to be able to go. The Cowboys called the timeout, all that stuff. And then he came in and had the game-winning touchdown catch. And I'm not trying to isolate moments and make things about one tiny little thing or whatever the case may be, but that's kind of a big deal. Right, that's kind of a big deal that Jaylen Tolbert stood tall when the moment commanded him the most, or the moment was asking him to be the most, the most version of himself. If I could get words together, Kevontae Turpin stood tall, Jake Ferguson stood tall. I mean, just a stat line reading, which is a poor way to go about this once again, but this is all we have in this moment. Jake Ferguson led the team in targets. I'm sorry, Jaylen Tolbert led the team in targets. 10 of them, 7 catches, 87 yards. Obviously had the game-winning touchdown, which was impressive. Jake Ferguson, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 70 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 9 targets, 5 receptions, 62 yards. By far the, if you want to call it, worst completion percentage that Dak Prescott had to any one specific pass catcher on the team, it was to CeeDee Lamb. And again, believe me, the point here is not CeeDee Lamb sucks or CeeDee Lamb is washed or anything like that, but CeeDee Lamb faded in this game. We've seen that a little bit, which is why it's starting to become, when something like this happens and you have people accuse somebody of pouting or acting a certain way on the sideline, and it's the first or second time, I feel like we all just kind of brush it aside like it's not a real big deal. But that this is still kind of a thing is a bit of a frustrating thing. Why is this still a thing for CeeDee and the rest of the offense, or CeeDee's place in the offense, CeeDee and Dak? I mean, look, I know people were willing to offer the idea that maybe it was that he missed training camp and all that stuff. Dude, it's week 5. I mean, it's week 5 where even if you did, and obviously he did miss all of training camp and all the preseason and all that stuff, you're deep enough in this now that you should not be this misaligned with everybody to where your first target in the second half of the game, in a game that is mostly a one-possession contest, comes with fewer than 4 minutes left. R. Via Toro says Dak going to Tolbert back-to-back on 3rd and 4th down really shows the trust he has in Tolbert. I completely agree with you, R. Via Toro. I mean, Dak had the quote, and I thought this was kind of silly in the moment, not to take shots at Dak and Tolbert, but Dak was obviously talking about Tolbert at training camp, and there was the fact that CeeDee wasn't there and Tolbert was getting opportunities and whatnot, and Dak said, yeah, he said, generally the guy who I kind of have a good connection with has a good year. He talked about Cedric Wilson in the past, and that was Jaylen Tolbert this year. And I think that we absolutely are seeing the dividends paid off from Jaylen Tolbert. All you hear about the dude is he's working, he's putting in the time, he's with Dak Prescott, he's in the backyard, he's, doing what he can to just kind of soak up everything, be a sponge with Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb, whatever. He was big, he was huge. I mean, look, I think this was true 2 weeks ago or more, maybe even before then, but Jaylen Tolbert has been wide receiver 2 on this team for some time. Now, I know that our overall time with Jaylen Tolbert has been very, very frustrating, right? He was not great as a rookie, and then last year, whatever, but he has, I think we're so quick to say he's arrived. I'm not going to go down that road. What I know is that Jaylen Tolbert is a very, very, very good player for this team, and that is a real breath of fresh air. The Cowboys finally have a proper wingman, a proper Robin opposite of CeeDee Lamb's Batman, appropriately so, given that this game was at Heinz Field and obviously the season from the Dark Knight. Anyway, that being said, Jaylen Tolbert is so much of that proper running mate to CeeDee Lamb that he was able to catch the game-winning touchdown, right? I mean, excuse me. We had not been able to, if I had asked you a month ago and I had said, somebody's got to catch the game-winning touchdown, it can't be CeeDee Lamb, who's that person going to be for you that plays wide receiver? Because you would have said Jake Ferguson. You would have said, I don't know. You said, I guess Brandon Cooks. But Jaylen Tolbert has emerged to be that guy. That's a great thing to see. That's a very, very good thing. Making sure, again, no updates yet on any level of injuries or things like that. Let's catch up on some of the comments. Tony Marone says, where was Flo tonight? What the hell? Flo is Ryan Flournoy. The very quick timeline of Ryan Flournoy, he was a draft pick of the Cowboys this year. We were all very excited about that. He has been a healthy scratch up until tonight. Obviously, Brandon Cooks did not play in this game and is on injured reserve now, so he'll be out for a little bit. He did not have a single target. I'm making sure. Brevin Spanford got 3 targets in this game. Kevontae Turpin got 5. But Ryan Flournoy, who Jerry Jones compared to Dez Bryant just a couple of days ago, could not get a single target in this game. Now, I agree with you in terms of wondering where he was, but I will say, and I have not believed, and I don't know if that's obvious with what I've said here so far tonight, but I have not believed in Jaylen Tolbert and Kevontae Turpin, but they lived up. I mean, I can kind of understand keeping Flournoy at bay tonight because Tolbert and Turpin were playing so well for you. So in this very, very specific sense, I'm willing to give them a pass. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, what are you doing? Like, why haven't we seen him at this point in time? K Trump 7 says Overshown looking awesome tonight. I agree with you. Caught Fields a couple of times. I want to talk about the defense. We'll get there in a second. RV Toro says I really thought this win would have needed an all-time game from both Dak and CD for us to have a chance. I know there are concerns, but I'm glad the defense stepped up and held it down for a bit. As we segue into the defense, let's think about let's just say a bunch of things that are true, right? Things that are undeniable, things that are factual about what we just saw. Really bad game from Dak Prescott for the most part, right? Heroic game-winning drive from Dak Prescott. Emergence of Rico Dowdle in the run game. Probably establishment fully in a cemented sense of Rico Dowdle as the lead and featured back here. But you got a really bad game from your quarterback. That's the point I want to make here. You did not get a single touchdown in the first 3 quarters. All right. Like, think about that. It's like, like we love the, what if I told you game, right? Like if I had told you 5 hours ago, which is, I think when the weather delay started, if I had told you then, they're not going to score a touchdown in the first 2 quarters, and Dak's going to throw 2 interceptions. They're going to be really, really, really gross. You would have been like, oh, dude, we're getting blown out. You know what I'm saying? They won that game. They won. It is never, ever going to always be sunshine and roses and rainbows and lollipops. It is never going to be that case. You have to win ugly. You have to find a way. You have to be that resolved. You have to be willing to live in the fire. An analogy I make all the time is, you ever play a video game and you're just kind of like your vision is almost blurred, right? Like you're so focused that your vision has become blurred, and you know that you can't actually dial in your vision, because if you do, you'll lose the focus, if that makes sense. You have to be willing to live in that eye. You have to be willing to live in the eye of the storm. And tonight, on Sunday night / Monday morning, the Dallas Cowboys were completely and totally willing to live there. And a big reason for that was because of the defense. All right. Now, the defense in this game, dude, I'm not going to go as far as saying that we are sorry, Dallas Cowboys defense, because I think that everything that we said was fair. There were a lot of statistics and data points and just kind of notes of information that this group was very, 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 very bad. I mean, very bad. And they were one of the worst tackling teams in the NFL. Now, I don't have any advanced data information quite yet. That'll obviously come out overnight, and I'll do a lot of work around it at blogontheboys.com and on my social channels, so make sure you stay tuned over there as well. But I'm going to assume that we're going to see a lot of improvement. I mean, just off of the first glance, watching it, our first time in real time, I mean, I don't think they missed a tackle. And I know that's kind of an exaggeration and a ridiculous thing to say out loud, but I don't think they did. I mean, this was a very, very, very different effort, and I will give you a round of applause, Mike Zimmer. I will give you a round of applause to Marion Overshown. You know who I love? I mean, absolutely love, and I know that you love him too. Jordan Lewis can play for me any day of the week. Whatever team I have, whatever level of football, whatever level of athleticism, as long as it's a sport, if there's a winner and there's a loser, I want Jordan Lewis on my team because he's going to make sure that we win. That dude will do anything to win and does not back down from a single challenge. I love Jordan Lewis. He was a big reason why the Cowboys won this game. But I tell you what, I mean, name a defender that played poorly. I mean, seriously, we got a lot of people in the chat, and it's great to be with you, and thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties. I really have no idea what happened. My computer is actually relatively new, so this is a bit concerning. But that being said, name me the defender who played poorly for the Cowboys. I don't think you can, because Eric Kendricks was awesome. I mean, Eric Kendricks was amazing tonight. He's not going to have a big game that flashed, but he would. Hey, hold up. How about Tyrus Wheat? I mean, look, let's be real. All right. It's a safe space around here. You and me. It is a safe space. We can trust each other. When Marshawn Nealon got hurt 5 minutes into the game, we were like, all right, that's it. We're like, it hasn't been fun, but this season is a wrap, right? Like we were ready to sell on the 2024 season for the Dallas Cowboys, the 2024 pass rusher group. And how could you not be? Because in that moment in time, DeMarcus Lawrence was on injured reserve. Micah Parsons wasn't available, because of a high ankle sprain. Sam Williams went on ACL long ago, the early days of training camp. And now you're down Marshawn Nealon. You're down pass rushers, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. What on earth? How is this possibly going to happen? How are you going to make it work? This is crazy. You're playing Justin Fields, who's a mobile quarterback, and the Steelers who love to run the ball. This is never going to work. But that's when Tyrus Wheat stepped up, baby. And Tyrus Wheat said, I'm here today. This is my house, Heinz Field, or whatever the hell we're calling it these days. Tyrus Wheat absolutely bald. Frisco Garcia answering the question, and so is K-Trip7 as far as defenders who played poorly, noting Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. That might be true, but we're living in the positive for the moment. The front seven for the Cowboys I thought was phenomenal. Sure, we can have some issues with the safety play, and I think that kind of, coalesces and jives with what we've seen so far through 5 total games this season. But I mean, from a cornerback standpoint, the Cowboys are very solid. From a front seven standpoint, the Cowboys are very solid. So if you think about it, this is really just the Cowboys teams that we were conditioned to know for most of our lives with poor safety play, right? That's exactly who they are at this point in time. Now, it wasn't the Mozzie Smith breakout game the way we saw last week against the Giants, but he didn't get pushed around all too much. I thought Mozzie Smith played well. Wingardium Leviosa, Odigizua, I thought was awesome, but Tyrus Sweet just really, really, really impressive. And I agree with you. DeMarvion Overshown was awesome, was a great, I don't even want to call it spy, just a great enforcer. And again, the ferocity, the aggressiveness with which the defense played was just a really different thing to see, and a very, very, very delightful thing to see, especially with what we've known from this Cowboys group to this point in the season. So, I mean, all told, I don't know, grade the game, grade the win. B plus. It's a B plus in terms of style, but style points don't count here, baby. This is a win. The Cowboys are 3-2, and they're fighting like hell to keep pace with the Washington Commanders, which, I mean, I think we all thought that Jaden Daniels was very good, but I don't think any of us thought he was this good. So, I mean, they really needed this, especially with the Lions coming to town on Sunday. The Lions who are coming off of their bye, by the way, we all saw them obviously last week on Monday Night Football, and they looked amazing. So this is it. I mean, look, the Cowboys have assured themselves, they've assured us that they will be at worst 500 entering the bye next week. Is that ideal? No. Obviously, we would love for them to be 4-2. We would rather be 4-2 over 3-3. I think that is pretty plain and obvious. But that being said, this was a very big win. Last week was a stop the bleeding type of win. All right. And the analogy I used at the time was the patient was still in the ICU, right? We had the family, we hadn't quite told the family to come say their goodbyes, but we had them waiting in the waiting room. Now the patient has been discharged from the ICU, still in the hospital, but we're able to kind of relax a little bit here. They're north of 500 for the first time since week 1. This is their first winning streak of the season. And again, they have assured themselves and all of us that they will get through the bye week at worst with a 500 record. They have a better record than the 49ers right now, right? They have more wins than the Philadelphia Eagles. Granted, they're still chasing the Commanders. They're still chasing the Lions. I can't believe they're chasing the Minnesota Vikings. But I mean, are the Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl? We all know the answer to that. But this was a very, very, very big win. It is a different kind of badass to get the ball at the end and know we need a touchdown, and to know that you have a dude who can do it, and then for that dude to go out and actually do it. There are a handful of teams in the NFL who can claim that to be true. And tonight, and for the foreseeable future, it would stand to reason the Dallas Cowboys are one of them. I want to thank all of you for powering through the technical difficulties. My apologies to you all and to the BR people. I have no idea what happened with my computer, but you all are the best. I owe you a Whataburger next time I see you in person. If you like what I do, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, at RJ Ochoa, TikTok, rj.ochoa. You can email me as well, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. You can find all my written work at bloggingtheboys.com, the work of our staff. We do, I think, a great job 24/7, 365, 366. It is a leap year in 2024 of keeping you updated on all things America's team. If you like listening to and watching me talk about the Dallas Cowboys, I'm very happy to work with BR, and I'll be here post-game on Sunday after the Lions game for the next couple of games as well. You can also catch my stuff on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, including this live stream. I'll be throwing that up there in just a little bit because who needs sleep at this point in time? So B Massey 4 is a longtime follower, and shout out to you, B Massey 4. Tomorrow, Monday, is Victory Polo Monday. So what you do is you put on a Dallas Cowboys polo, t-shirt, cap, paint your fingernails, scarf. The cool weather isn't quite here yet, but you can do whatever you want because it really doesn't matter. As long as you are representing the Dallas Cowboys and have a Dallas Cowboys song in your heart, that's what matters the most, my friends. If you do put on a polo, whatever the case may be, take a picture, take a selfie, tag me on social media. I'll share those out. I love you all. It is always a better week when the Dallas Cowboys win as opposed to when they lose. And we did it. We survived. Where were you when the weather delay knocked 90 minutes of our lives into the future or the past or wherever we live nowadays? Because I really have kind of lost all touch with reality as far as time is concerned. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Thanks so much for hanging out. And we'll see you next time.